Parshas Terumah, Tafshin Ayin Ches, Rosh Chodesh Adar. Here we are, 2 weeks before Purim. Time is flying along, but we enter a new part of the Torah this week. We enter the Parshas that discuss the building of the Mishkan. And for the next 5 Parshas, essentially, this is what we are going to be discussing. And the Nesivos Shalom brings a thought. He brings this thought from the Alshich that the Taryag mitzvahs in the Torah are like a part of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Taryag mitzvahs of the Torah and HaKadosh Baruch Hu are part and parcel, kaviyachol, one of the other. And the Alshich says that just as Hashem is eternal, so too are every one of the Taryag mitzvahs. Each one of the Taryag mitzvahs, all the Taryag mitzvahs are eternal. They apply to us forever. And of course, the question begs to be asked right now from our Parsha. The Torah tells us in our Parsha, the Asuli Mikdash, V'shochanti b'soicham. Hashem says to make for me a Mikdash, V'shochanti b'soicham, and I will dwell, Kaviyach. Hashem says, I will dwell in the Mishkan. So what kind of nitzchias would there be in this mitzvah? We just finished saying that just as HaKadosh Baruch Hu is eternal, each one of the Taryag mitzvahs is also eternal. What kind of eternal way is there in the mitzvah of Asuli Mikdash, of building the Mishkan? It would seem that we have not done this mitzvah in many, many years now. And the question is not just also in today's times where we had a Chorban Beis HaMikdash and we understand and we see that of course we did not have lately the mitzvah of building a Mishkan. Even during the times of the Beis HaMikdash, says the Nesivos Shalom, the mitzvah of the Mishkan, the mitzvah of building the Mishkan, the mitzvah of building a Beis HaMikdash was not being done even while the Beis HaMikdash stood. The mitzvah was only actually for the generation and the time when the Beis HaMikdash was actually being built. While the Beis HaMikdash is there already, why would we have a mitzvah of Asuli Mikdash to go and construct the Beis HaMikdash? It's there already. So too, Chazal tell us on the words in the pasuk of V'chein Tasu. The Torah gives us a commandment, V'asuli Mikdash, to build a Mikdash, and we end off by saying V'chein Tasu. So Chazal tell us that V'chein Tasu means, the drasha that we give here, V'chein Tasu means L'doros, for all generations. And really, what does that mean? It means that if one of the kelim in the Mishkan were to be lost, you should know that you should make another keli just like it. V'chein Tasu, the same commandment, the same way I am telling you how to make the kelim of the Mishkan. V'chein Tasu, if one of them gets lost, if one of them is not here, then you should make it in exactly the same way. And the Ramban asks on that, Maimer Chazal, and this is brought down in Rashi, right? The Ramban asks, we know that the Mizbeach during the time of Shlomo HaMelech actually had very different dimensions than the original Mizbeach that the Torah told us to build. So how are we saying V'chein Tasu means L'doros, that you're always going to build the kelim in the same way? The Mizbeach was not a replica of the original Mizbeach. It was totally different. So what is V'chein Tasu L'doros? Another question the Nesivos asks is that the Torah now speaks at length. For the next 5 Parshas, we know it speaks about the Mishkan. And the Torah is really here. The Torah is really here, says in Nesivos Shalom, and with this he's really explaining all the questions that we asked to this point by making this association that we're going to make with the construction of the Mishkan. The Nesivos Shalom is going to answer really all of these questions we asked till now. Our last question is, right, what was V'chein Tasu? and about the Torah speaking about the Parshas of the Mishkan, the Torah here, the Torah with all these commandments and everything that we've said till now, the Torah is here to teach us a way of life. The Torah is telling us that the Torah is a living Torah. It's not a history book. And a living Torah, when we live by the Torah, we live by the commandments of the Torah each and every day of our lives. So what specific lesson does the Torah have for us to live by, being that unfortunately we do not have a Beis HaMikdash today? And if every lesson in the Torah, every commandment of the Torah is a lesson for life and teaches us how to live our lives, what could the Parsha of the Mishkan that we have in our Parsha, what could it possibly be teaching us that we can apply today? So Nesivos Shalom brings, and he says, a very important lesson. He says that today's mitzvah of Asuli Mikdash, Itaka doesn't teach us or tell us that we should go out and build physically to build the Mishkan, to build the Beis HaMikdash. Until Mashiach comes, and hopefully he will come at any moment soon, right? But until then, we don't have rishus to go and build the Beis HaMikdash. The mitzvah of Asuli Mikdash goes on each and every individual today. That every person, says in Nesivos Shalom, is essentially an entire world of their own. Every person is their own world. And there is a mitzvah on each person to create and build a mikdash within yourself. The mitzvah today is not to go out and take stones and to build a Beis HaMikdash. The mitzvah is that you yourself are a mikdash. You yourself are an entire world. You're very important. You are an entire universe. And you have to create an atmosphere where you yourself are a mikdash, where Hashem is comfortable being with you. The pasuk says, right, "V'shachanti b'soicham," and we darshan and we say, "B'soicham" is a lashon of plural. That Hashem wants to dwell within each and every person, not just in one place. And it's each person's responsibility to build that abode, to create a mishkan where Hashem will want to be in your mind, in your heart, in your home. And this is the mitzvah of Ba'asuli Mikdash that is eternal. This is the mitzvah we wanted to know. What's this commandment of Ba'asuli Mikdash? It's a living Torah. It applies to us. How can it apply to us when there was a Churban Beis HaMikdash? When we don't have a Beis HaMikdash today? The answer is that it's in our own lives, in our own homes, we have this commandment of the Asuli Mikdash. It applies to each and every person, that there should be Hashras HaShechina in your life. So the question is, how does one do this? Nesivos Shalom, very practical, and we have a beautiful lesson here. How does a person go about doing this? How do we build the individual Mishkan? The Torah tells us in our Parsha, the Yikhuli Terumah, Me'ez kol ish asher yidvenu liboy. From each person's heart, what you are able to give from your heart. And says in Nesivos Shalom a very beautiful pshat. He says every person has the things in their lives that they consider very important. Every person has the things that they want and desire. And what is the truma? What is our mitzvah of a yichuli truma? Our truma is to offer and take those things that we have the most difficulty with, the things that are the toughest for us to acquire and to do. Take those things and give those things to Hashem. And that is how you build your Beis HaMikdash. That is how you apply the lesson of Ba'asu Li Mikdash. And every person is here to do their job in this world. No two people are alike, and people are very, very good at looking around and deciding what everyone else should be doing and what everyone else has to be doing and what everybody else is not doing, but that's not our job. You're making a big mistake if you think your mitzvah is to look around. The mitzvah is to identify the things that you have the most difficulty with and to offer those, to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu with those things. to dedicate that to Hashem. And the point being that the tzivoy, the commandment of the Asu Li Mikdash, is really talking to every single one of us to make ourselves and our homes a place for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And not only that, it needs to be reevaluated all the time. Of course, it's individualized. Of course, every person is totally different than anyone else that they know. Anyone else in your family, anyone else in your life, everyone has their own personal challenges. And you don't always succeed at your challenges. But you need to reevaluate and see how you can serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. A little more emunah, a little more being friendly to other people, a little more things that you have the most difficulty with. When you fight those things, when you face those challenges, when you grow from those things, you know what's happening? You're creating, you are building a Mishkan. You are building a Mikdash. And that is how the mitzvah of building the Mishkan is eternal. It is for every one of us, and it is for all days. And of course, says in Nesivos Shalom, he brings in that one of the most auspicious times to work on these things, and we spoke about it so many times, is on Shabbos, because on Shabbos we're able a little bit to step away from our worldly pursuits, from the rat race, from the cell phones today, from your personal gadgets. You're able to step away from all of that. I'm not judging anybody, or even myself. I'm not judging anybody here. We're just saying the fact that if you keep Shabbos, Memela, Shabbos is a much easier day for you to be in touch with yourself. You can think, you could spend a little bit more time with your family. You could do those things that are challenging at times to create your own Mishkan. Every Shabbos you have the opportunity to build and become a better person. When you become a better person, that is you becoming your own personal Beis HaMikdash. That is you becoming your Mishkan. And now, Mishenichnas Adar Marbim B'Simcha, we come to the month of Adar. Not only do you have your challenges that you can work on starting Parshas Terumah, but you can do it happily. You could be happy this month doing it. Marbim B'Simcha, it means that you don't walk around with your face down. Walk around, give other people a smile. Give yourself a smile. And we should all taka b'zaycha to build our own Mishkan.